Welcome everyone to Yoga Basics. Today the props that we'll be using are a chair, a block, and a yoga strap, or you could use a belt. So you'll want to grab those. And then come to sitting comfortably on your mat. I recommend sitting up on a folded blanket. Even I'm actually sitting on 2 folded blankets, or even possibly sitting on your block. Something to lift your hips will make it more comfortable as you sit. And then we'll just take a few moments to prepare the body. So go ahead and close the eyes. And just turning the attention inward, shutting out the busyness and chaos of the day. And then taking 2 deep cleansing breaths. So take a nice big inhale through the nose and exhale it all out by blowing or sighing it out. And one more nice big inhale and exhale it all out. And then soften the muscles of the face. Relax the muscles of the neck and the shoulders. And then turning the attention to the breath. Notice the inhale. And notice the exhale. And then we'll begin a nice, even breathing, inhaling and exhaling to a count of 4. So inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4. And just continue with this nice, even breathing. If at any time it makes you lightheaded or dizzy, then just go back to your own normal breathing pattern. And we also set an intention for each practice to help remind us why we are here. So that may be a benefit you would like to receive, or just an uplifting or a positive thought or a phrase. So think of an intention that you'd like to have for your practice today. And then with your next inhale, go ahead and lift your head and open your eyes. If you do have your legs folded and you want to switch that top leg before the warm-up, go ahead and do that. And then we'll begin by turning our heads to look out over that right shoulder and coming back to center and turning to look out over the left. And back to center, dropping the chin to the chest. And then picking the chin up towards the ceiling and jetting that lower jaw out. And coming back to center and dropping the right ear to the right shoulder. And back to center and left ear to left shoulder. And back to center. And then extending the hands out in front, open and close the fingers. And then some wrist circles. And reverse. Good, and bringing the hands back down to the lap. And then we'll do some shrugs. Just picking those shoulders up, pulling them back down. And the next time you pick the shoulders up, roll them to the back. Good. And then bringing the arms out in front, bring your palms and your elbows together. And with an inhale, extend those arms out to the side and squeeze those shoulder blades. And release. Good. Squeeze. Release. Squeeze. Release. A couple more. Squeezing. Release. Last one. Good. And then release those arms down. Take the right hand, place it to the outside of the right hip. Inhale the left arm up. And exhale as you bend to the right. Good. And coming back to center, switch arms, inhale. And exhale, bend to the left. And coming back to center, and then coming into a twist. So left hand on the right knee. Inhale to lengthen the spine. And then exhale, begin to turn to the right, bringing that right hand around behind you to support the spine. Good. And then release back to center. Switch hands. Left hand comes around behind you as you inhale. And to exhale, turning and looking to the left. Good. And then release back to center. And then if you did have your legs folded, go ahead and extend them out in front of you and just shake them out a little bit. And then taking your hands, placing them behind the right thigh, pulling that knee in and extending it out. And the next time you pull it in, hold it there, and then point and flex the foot. And then some ankle circles. And reverse. Good. And then switching legs. So again, just bending and extending. And then pulling and holding that knee in, point and flex the foot. And some ankle circles. And reverse. Good. And then we'll come onto our hands and knees for cat-cow. And you're welcome to open up that blanket if you would like. As you come onto hands and knees, bring the wrists under the shoulders, knees under the hips. And with the inhale, then we'll arch the spine, lifting the chest and the sits bones for cow. And then exhale, press into your hands as you round the back, dropping the chin to the chest. Inhale, coming back into cow. Exhale, cat. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. And once more, inhale and exhale. Good, and then bringing the spine back to neutral. And then we'll come into child's pose. So shifting the hips back to the heels and supporting the head by stacking your fists or grabbing your block. And then just taking a few breaths here. Good. And then coming into downward facing dog or puppy pose. So extending those arms out in front of you, coming back up to hands and knees. If you want to stay here on your knees, then extend your arms out a little bit more in front of you so you can drop the chest and down towards the floor. If you're coming into downward facing dog, then you'll press into the hands, curl your toes with an inhale, lift the hips, then press into the hands as you extend through the arms in the back. Keep a little bend in the knees or come into walking the dog. Either one, just stay there for a couple of breaths. Always take a break when you need to. Good. And then with your next exhale, if you were in downward facing dog, come back to your knees. If you're in puppy, come back to hands and knees. So from here, we're going to be doing some hip warm-ups to prepare for triangle pose. So we're going to start by doing bird dog, only we're just going to do the legs. So hands stay on the mat. Shift the weight over to the left leg, and then extend the right leg behind you and flex through that foot. Now, try not to hike that right hip up. Tighten the abdominals. Good. Then bring that right knee down. Shift the weight. Try it with the left. Flex through that foot. Keep the abs tight. Good. And again on the right. Good. Pressing into those hands. Good. And left. Really press into that heel. Keeping the abs tight. Good. Let's try it once more each side. Right. Good, and left. Good. Bring that left knee down, and then go ahead and sweep your legs to the side so you can walk your hips down, extend the legs out in front of you. And we're going to come down on the mat. So you'll want to extend those legs. And then rolling onto your side, lower yourself down and roll onto your back. So the first warm-up we're going to do are windshield wipers. So you're going to walk your feet out to the edges of the mat. You're welcome to bring the arms out at shoulder height, or if you can bring them overhead. Then we'll start by using our left index finger and thumb, grabbing the back of the right wrist, and then drop the right knee down towards the left knee. So again, and then with your left hand, you're just very gently pulling that right arm to the left. So you feel a little deepening of that stretch. You're welcome to keep your arms here too. All right, back to center. Switch sides. So now you're holding the back of the left wrist. Drop the left knee down. Good. Back to center. Let's try it once more on each side. So right knee down. Stretch. Good. Back to center. And left. Good. And then back to center. Go ahead and release your arms down. Walk your feet back to together and then bring them up towards your sits bones. So now we're going to come into Supta Pandangusthasana 2. I forgot to tell you to grab your strap. Sorry about that. I thought there was something you needed when you got down here. So make sure you have your strap too. All right, so remember Supta Pandangusthasana 1 was our leg straight up. 2, we're going to bring that leg out to the side, and then we're going to do a little variation with the other leg. So let's start with the right leg. So you're going to pull the knee in towards you, find that midpoint of the strap, put it around the ball of the foot. Now, as you extend that leg up, lengthen the strap. Now, you're going to put both ends of the strap in the right hand. And then begin to drop that right leg out to the side. So lengthen the strap so you can rest your right elbow on the floor. Extending the right leg, and remember you want to rotate or do an external rotation of the leg so that your heel is in line with your toes or maybe even a little bit above it. Now your left leg, you're going to keep it bent and just drop that knee a little bit out to the side. You can even roll onto, strap just slipped, the outside of that left foot. You're really going to feel that it's in that left hip. So make sure you're listening to your body, okay? And just take a few breaths here. Try not to let that left hip come up off the mat or that left shoulder. Good. All right. Bend that right knee, bring it back in, bring both feet back to the floor, and then we'll try it on the other side. So the strap on the left leg, as you extend it, grab both ends of the strap with the left hand. As you begin to drop the left leg open, then bring your left elbow to the mat so you can support that leg, and again rotating it so that your heel and toes are in line. And then the right leg, you're just going to open up a little bit to the side. You'll probably have to, I kind of am walking my right foot in. I don't know if you can see that. So I'm rolling a little bit on the outside of my right foot just to open up that knee a little more. Good. And then breathe. Good. And then we'll go ahead. Bend that left knee. Release your strap. And then we'll roll onto our side. We're going to come back up. We're going to sit on the mat for a minute. Grab your blanket and grab your block. So you want to sit up on your blanket, your folded blanket. And we're going to do Baddha Konasana, which we've done a number of times, only we're going to do a little variation with the block. So we're going to bring the soles of the feet together, but you're going to turn the block to this narrow width. And you're going to bring your feet to the block. So you can see this is pushing those hips open a little bit more. Now, we don't want to round through the back. So you've got a couple of options here. I think the last time we did this, I explained you could bring your arms around behind you, press into your hands. My fingertips are facing away from me. And as I press, then you can press into your knees and open up a little bit more here, and you're supporting your spine. Or you can hold on to your ankles. If you pull with your arms, do a little isometric contraction, do you feel that you can use those back muscles to help support the spine? So you're keeping that back straight. And then just taking a few breaths here. So try it both ways. See which one works best for you. Again, preventing that rounding of the low back. And then taking a few breaths here. Good. And then go ahead and release. Go ahead and put your block to the side. And we're going to come up to standing. So if you want to come back to hands and knees, or I usually just roll onto the balls of my feet, put your blanket to the side, and come on up. So standing, you will need your chair, possibly your block, and you will need your strap. And I'll show you the different options when we get to that in a minute. So first of all, we're still focusing on the hips. We're going to take a moment to stand in Tadasana. So having feet hip width apart and parallel with one another, finding those four corners of the feet, distributing the weight between the balls of the feet, back to the heels, and then lifting up through the arches, tightening the front of the thighs, bringing the arms alongside the body, palms facing each other, lifting and tightening the abdominals, and then lengthening the spine all the way from the tailbone up through the crown of the head, picking the shoulders up, rolling them down the back. Remember using the back of the neck to pull the ears so that they're over the shoulders. And just gazing forward and taking a few breaths here. Good. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to come into a wide leg stance. We've also called this star pose. So widening your feet, you want to bring the feet wider than your hips. And then turn your toes out just a little bit. Inhale, bring the arms up to shoulder height. So what we're going to do here, again, is we're going to work on these hips. So as you stand here in the pose, we use the same cueing that we did for Tadasana. So focusing on the spine, lengthening up, keeping the ears over the shoulders, all those same points. Now what I want you to do is I want you to imagine that you're trying to split your mat in half. So focus on your feet, and so this is an isometric contraction you're going to do. You're going to imagine you're pushing your feet out to the side. Do you feel that right here? That's where you should feel it. So you're using these muscles, but you're not actually moving your legs. Good. So hold here. Continue to breathe. When you do isometrics, you tend to want to hold your breath. So it's important to keep breathing. Good, so you should really be feeling this up in those glutes. Great way to strengthen those muscles. Good. All right, relax it out, bring those arms down, take those legs, just heel toe together till you can step your legs together. All right, so now we're going to focus on lengthening and stretching the hamstring. So here's where our chair comes in. All right, so you're going to put your chair at the top of the mat. If you happen to be near a wall, then back your chair up to the wall. I'm afraid I'll take the chair out of the view of the camera if I do that. So I'm gonna leave mine right here at the top of my mat. You just wanna make sure the chair doesn't slide. Then grab your strap, and you're going to grab your block because I'm going to give you a couple of options here. So what we're going to do is we're going to be facing the chair, and we're going to be placing, if you get your balance, you're going to be placing your foot on the chair for this hamstring stretch. So depending on the flexibility in your hamstring, maybe you can put your foot on the block. You could even use 2 blocks. If you're really flexible, you can also, I'm just going to show you this, you can put your blanket on the back of your chair. I'm assuming you probably have a folding chair like I do and not a big, tall dining room chair. But if your chair is this height, let's see if I can do it without falling, then you can put your leg on the chair too. Now, the whole point is, just like in Tadasana, we have to keep this nice straight torso with our hips aligned over the knees and the ankles. So here's where your strap can come in handy. So if you have it on the chair, just put the strap around the ball of the foot. You can hold on. We'll start with that right leg, and then you can put your left hand on your hip. So you can be here. Again, try it on the block, or if you're a little more flexible, on the back of the chair. Good. As long as you can keep that back straight. You also want to focus on the right hip, so you don't want to hike that right hip up. We've done this one before against the wall, having your back against the wall to give you a little more support. So if you'd like to align yourself that way, feel free to do that too. The whole key is to stretch that hamstring. Good. Continue to breathe. Good. And then as you remove that leg, then we'll try it on the other side. So, again, you can do it with your leg on the chair, on the block. See if I can get my left leg up here. Come to the chair first. That's the safe thing to do. And then up on the back of the chair. So whatever is the safest thing for you. Again, if you feel better with your back against the wall, try that. Once you get your leg on the chair, then again, focus on your alignment. Just like we did in Tadasana. Keep one hand on your hip if you'd like. Good. Continue to breathe. Good. And then let's go ahead and bring that foot down off the chair. Go ahead and put the chair to the side, but keep your block handy. So let me put this stuff back. All right. So coming back to your mat, I did mention that we're doing all these hip stretches, hip openers, strengtheners, all that, to work on triangle pose. So we have one more pose that we're going to do as a warm-up before we actually do triangle, and that's side angle pose. So you'll want to come back to that wide stance. So widening those feet. Remember, you always want to work as strongly but as safely as you can. All right, we'll start by turning the right foot out at 90 degrees, lining up the heel with the instep of the left foot. Then take that right knee, bend it, stack it right over the ankle. Good. From the waist up, you're going to turn and face forward. For right now, keep that torso in line with the pelvis. Then inhale, bring the arms up to shoulder height. So just like doing warrior two. Take a nice big inhale. Now with your exhale, we're going to lean to the right. Turn your right palm up and place your right forearm on your right thigh. And then sweep that left arm up next to the ear. So the angle part of side angle is the angle from your left fingertips down to your left heel. If you have shoulder issues, then you're welcome to keep that hand on the hip, focusing on keeping the shoulder open. Otherwise, you're here. Good. Continue to breathe. Good. And then with the inhale, lift that torso back up. Go ahead and straighten the right leg. Exhale, bring the arms down, turn the right foot in, and then we'll turn the left foot out. Same thing, lining up the left heel with the instep of the right foot. Then bending the left knee from the waist up, facing forward, bringing the arms up to shoulder height. Good. Take a nice big inhale, and with the exhale, lean to the left. Bring the left forearm down. And then same thing, you're going to sweep the right arm up next to the ear or place it on your hip. Good. Continue to breathe. Press down into the heel of that left foot and the pinky toe side of the right foot. Good. And then inhale, lift the torso, straighten that left knee. Exhale, bring the arms down, turn the foot in. All right, so we're going to come into triangle. If you want to walk your feet in just to kind of give yourself a break for a second and get set up here. So you have the option of using the block. We've also done it with the chair, putting our hand on the chair. I think we'll leave the chair to the side right now, but we'll also use our thigh or our shin. So come back to your wide stance. Take your block, place it where you're going to be turning your right foot now to 90 degrees, just like we did for side angle. Then put the block to the pinky toe side of that right foot. All right, so right foot is turned out. Line up the right heel with the instep of the left foot. Then go ahead and bring those arms up to shoulder height. Now remember, in triangle, this right leg is going to stay straight. So tighten up the front of that right thigh, that quadricep. Take a nice big inhale, and then with your exhale, you're going to lean to the right. The weight will shift over here to that left hip. You keep that left shoulder open, and then you bring the right hand down. Now here's where maybe it's on your hip, maybe it's on your shin. Here's where the block comes in handy. Whichever height of the block, you could use that, or maybe on your ankle. And then bringing the right or left arm up. You want to try to stack the shoulders. Good, and continue to breathe. Good. And then with your next inhale, lift the torso. Exhale, bring the arms down. Grab your block if you use the block. Turn that right foot in. And then turn the left foot out. Line up the heel to the instep again. If you liked using the block, just bring it to the pinky toe side, usually right around where your ankle is. Good, and then lifting those arms back up to shoulder height. Straightening the left knee, tightening that quadricep or front of the thigh. Take a nice big inhale. With the exhale, as you begin to lean to the left, your weight will shift into that right hip. And then bring that left hand down. I'm going to use the block this time. Maybe you have it on your thigh, chin, or ankle. And then lifting that right arm up. And just gazing forward. Good. Continue to breathe. And trying to keep your shoulders in line with your hip. So make sure you're not pushing your hip forward. Mainly back is what I see a lot. So trying to keep the torso all in a nice straight line. One analogy I like is imagine you're between two panes of glass. Good. And then with the inhale, go ahead and lift up. Exhale, arms come down. Turn that left foot in. Again, little heel toe walk till you can walk the feet together. And then go ahead and walk it out, shake it out a little bit. And then putting the block to the side, we're going to come down onto our knees for camel pose. So go ahead and bring your chair back in. Again, if you're near a wall and you can back the chair up to the wall, go ahead and do that. Otherwise, place it on your mat so that the legs, have some stability and the chair won't slide. And then you'll grab your blanket and place your blanket in front of your chair to pad your knees and shins. And then we'll come down into a kneeling position with our back to the seat of the chair. So to position yourself for camel, you want to be able to bring your hands to the seat of the chair, or possibly, depending on your chair, maybe even the legs of the chair. So go ahead and walk your knees back if you need to, or if you're too close, then come out a little bit. All right, so we come back to just the kneeling position. And again, same alignment as we did in Tadasana. We want to keep our shoulders over the hips, hips over the knees. And keeping the hips as much as we can over the knees as we bend backwards. So the bending is coming from this mid-spine. All right, let me see where I am here. All right, so take a nice big inhale. And with that inhale, then begin to lift the chest. And with your exhale, as you start bending backward, then bring those hands back to either the seat of the chair or possibly the legs. Good. Try not to push your hips too far forward because you're going to really feel that in the low back. Good. You can either let your neck drop back, or if that's too much on the cervical spine, then just support the head a little bit so it's more in line with the spine. Good. And breathe. Good. And then releasing as you inhale back up. And then walking your knees forward a little bit so you can come into child's pose. Just to release the back. Good, and then go ahead and lift the torso. Go ahead and put your chair to the side. We are done with the chair. And grab your block. So since we're already on our knees, we're going to do our Bharad twist. So we do use the block for that. So this is the one that I'm going to turn around to show you what you're doing with your legs. So you're going to come onto hands and knees. And then take your lower legs and sweep them to the right. And then as you begin to lower your hips down, take your block and you're going to place it under that left hip. Because you will tend to lean over here to the left. So we want to get the torso up so that you're in alignment. Now, you can see how your left foot, you've got the top of the foot towards the mat. Just take that and rest that in the sole of the right foot. Good. Then you'll take your right hand, place it on the left knee. Inhale to lengthen. And then exhale, turn and twist to the left. Just bring that left hand around behind you. Good. And breathe. Good. And then releasing the twist, come back to hands and knees, and we'll try it on the other side. So just sweep the legs over to the left. And then as you bring your hips down, bring the block under that right hip. And then you'll hopefully get that pelvis a little more even, resting the top of the right foot in the sole of the left foot. Left hand on the right knee. Inhale to lengthen. And then exhale, bring the right hand around behind you. Good. And just looking to the right. Good, and then go ahead and release your twist. Go ahead and come back up to hands and knees to remove your block. And then bringing your hips back down to the mat, we're going to come down on our backs. So just put your blanket to the side, grab your strap again, and then rolling onto your side. We'll also go right into Savasana, so if there's anything else you want to bring close to you for Savasana, go ahead and do that. And then rolling onto our backs, we'll take our strap. You're going to bend both knees and bring your strap across the balls of both feet. And then lengthen both legs, holding on to each end of the strap. Extend the arms. After being in the kneeling position, it feels good to lengthen the legs a little bit here. Now, the key here is to keep your hips on the mat. So don't begin to pull your legs up so that you lift the sacrum or your hips off the mat. So wherever your legs need to be, maybe they're here, that's okay. Just feel that nice stretch behind the knee. Good, and continue to breathe. Try to keep your chin from pressing up towards the ceiling. Imagine you have an apple at your throat and you have to hold the apple there. So tuck your chin down a little bit. And then bend both knees, remove your strap. Go ahead and put that to the side. And then keeping the knees bent, go ahead and hug those knees in and just rock a little bit side to side. And then coming back to center, keep the knees bent and just extend the feet up towards the ceiling. So the soles of the feet are up towards the ceiling. Now, depending on the flexibility in your hips and your knees, you're welcome to stay here and just kind of put your hands on the back of your thighs and pull those knees in towards you. Or we're going to come into Happy Baby, which is a little deeper stretch. So you would reach up, keep those soles of the feet up towards the ceiling, and you're going to wrap your hands around the outside of your feet. And then very gently begin to pull your knees down towards your armpits. And then you could come back to that rocking. If not, just go back to, if this is too much for those hips, just go back to hugging your knees to your chest and just doing that little rocking. Good. And continue to breathe. Maybe come back to center. Again, very gently pressing. You should never feel any discomfort or pain, so immediately back off if you do. Good. And then go ahead and release those feet and bring those feet back down to the mat. And then extending the legs out as you prepare for Savasana. I'm going to come up to a seated position while you do that. So you'll be laying flat on your back with your legs extended out in front of you, arms alongside the body. Rotate those palms so they're facing up towards the ceiling. And then go ahead and close the eyes. And return the attention to the breath. Again, notice the inhale. And notice the exhale. And after your next inhale, begin to lengthen the exhale. Continue lengthening each exhale until they become about twice as long as the inhale. Focus on the physical body. Relax all the muscles from the feet all the way up to the crown of the head. Release any tension. Tightness. And then focus on the mind. Release any thoughts, worries, anxieties. And if these try to come back in, just acknowledge them and release them. Turning the attention back to the breath. Notice the inhale. And notice the exhale. And allow yourself just a few moments to completely let go. Start moving your fingers and toes, and then the wrists and the ankles. And when you're ready, bending both knees and rolling onto your right side in a fetal position. And just taking a few breaths here. And then using your left hand to support you, pushing yourself back up into a seated position. And keeping the body relaxed and the eyes closed for another moment. Focus on the intention that you set at the beginning of the practice. And then we'll take one more deep cleansing breath. So take a nice big inhale and exhale it all out. And then go ahead and lift your head and open your eyes. Thank you all so much for joining me. Namaste.